Hi there, my name is Anne and welcome to today's video all about drawing black animals. So oftentimes my students have questions about the best way to approach drawing an animal that has black fur. Either, whether it be a dog or a cat or a rabbit or whatever it is, there usually tends to be questions about what to do with that color fur. I'm not exactly sure why this is, why we have this kind of mental block. It could be that we don't see as many visual representations of animals with black fur in art. It could be because we as a culture do have a prejudice against like black cats and black dogs. Regardless of the reason, in today's video I'm going to walk you through a drawing of a black cat, and hopefully at the end of it you'll leave with some better tools to approach your own drawings of black animals and learn that you can treat them just like any other animal. So let's get started. You see I already have an outline of a nice little kitty cat on my paper. Let's go over materials. Obviously you're going to need some kind of surface to draw on. I am using a toned paper. I really like using toned paper in pastel. However, that's not necessary. If you have a white piece of paper that's more accessible, go ahead and use that. I also have a selection of pastels. So I have a very, very dark gray. It's almost black. If, however, there are areas that I want to just make a little bit darker black, I can use this compressed charcoal. I have a gray, kind of a medium gray. I have white right here. And then for the ears, actually, why don't I just bring out my photograph. So this is the picture I'm going to be working from today. If you have a black animal that is very well behaved and sit still long enough for you to make a portrait of them, that's great. Otherwise, it can be helpful to work from a photograph. And you see I have a nice picture of a really pretty black kitty. All right, so with this picture of this black cat, however, you might notice that inside the ears is a little pink, so I have a couple different kinds of pink for the ears, and then I have a light green and a darker green for the eyes, and those should be all the colors I need. I do have willow charcoal, which is what I used to create this outline. I love willow charcoal. It's very easy to erase. Then I have a white charcoal pencil and a black charcoal pencil. These are going to be helpful for more detailed areas. I won't use them a ton though. And then a blending stump, my old blending stump, and a kneaded eraser. And those should be all the materials I'm using today. All right. What I want you all to keep in mind as you're drawing your animal, your black animal, is that black is just like any other color, and it has highlights and it has darks. Just like green has their dark green and their light green. Black also has light areas and dark areas. I mean, I think people maybe get confused because those light areas we typically think of as gray, but those are light areas nonetheless. Some of them are even very, very light. There isn't a lot on here that's quite white, but maybe up here it's pretty white, a little bit over there. Okay, so that's basically the tip I have for you all. I don't know if it's because there's like a prejudice against black animals or just the color black, or we have this idea that it's like one matte thing, and it's not a color just like any other color. Yeah, but just like any other form, if you shine light on something that's black, you're going to catch those highlights and those shadows. So that's all we have to think about. It's actually, it's pretty straightforward if we can just get out of our own heads, out of our own preconceptions. So I'm going to start with this dark gray. And I'm finding those areas that are pretty dark. So I'm going to go along the nose here, over by the ear. This is all quite dark. Kind of under the eye. Now you see this color, it isn't, well maybe it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but this color isn't just a straight black. And on top of that, I'm drawing on a fairly heavily textured paper that is blue. So it's not gonna just look like a flat color. And I really don't think it has to. So you see I'm stopping right here because if we look at our photograph, there's a shape right here that is lighter, right? That's a highlighted area. So I don't need to color it in with this color. I can add that lighter gray a little bit later. Kind of the same thing going over here. I'm stopping right here because in this, and I don't know if it maybe is hard to see on the screen, but there's an area in here that's just a little bit lighter. So I don't need to put down my darkest stuff. Now the top of that paw is kind of dark, and then this back paw over here is also a little dark. I'm not sure how detailed I'm going to get with these little paws. We'll see. Okay. Now back here behind this elbow, there's a lot of darkness, shadowed kind of areas. I'm going to try to keep, you know, everything I'm working from in the view of the screen, but if sometimes something falls off the edge, I'm sorry. All right, once again, I'm looking at my photograph. This area on the back is an area that a light is shining on, which means it's a highlighted area. So I'm not going to make that, I'm not going to worry about filling that in with my dark color. Okay, now I can come up over here under the chin. Right now, it's really about blocking in shapes. It's finding those shapes that are the kind of darkest and just filling them in. Like I said, it's just important to put aside your preconceptions and just go with what you see. Okay, so I have shapes in here. Let's look at this shape. And we're getting, since we're on the face, which has more kind of more complicated, I guess, shapes in it. Let's look. So our light areas kind of come around here, around the nose. That's sort of a funny little puzzle piece we have around the eye. We're just, I guess I'm kind of actually thinking about leaving out shapes at this point. So I'm coloring everything in except for those lighter shapes. So it can kind of go down along the nose just a little bit. And then up on this little cheeky part of the kitty, it gets dark. But then along here, it's kind of light. Now over on this side, it also is pretty dark. So I'll fill that in. And then there are some subtle details on the chin that I don't want to fill it in too much and then lose the opportunity to add a little bit of subtlety in there. All right, so it's starting to shape up a little bit. Come along these ears, because these ears, the tips are pretty dark. All right. Maybe another thing that kind of gets in our way when we're trying to draw something that's black is that when we were kids, coloring things in and learning how to draw, black was seen as like the outline and not really, I don't know, like you think of coloring books and the outlines and the coloring books are always black. And so that didn't leave very much opportunity to fill something in black, because then sometimes details like the face would get lost. Yeah, so that might be part of it. But we're not just coloring in a coloring book anymore, and things can have more complicated surfaces than that. All right, now I have just this little tiny piece is the same as this larger light gray, or it's medium gray, but I just want to use up this little piece before I switch to that bigger one. So bear with me as I use this tiny piece of pastel to start filling in some of those medium areas, or lighter areas, excuse me. So I'm starting with this area right here underneath the eye. And I'm not concerned with detail, I'm just filling in those puzzle pieces, those general spaces. Now the things I'm saying when I'm talking about, you know, drawing this black cat in pastel are the same kind of things that I say when I'm drawing anything in pastel. And if I can get one thing across, it's that drawing an animal that's black is the same as drawing any other animal. It's just the same. All you have to do is observe and look at what's there, what's in front of you, and just respond to it. All right, now I'm going to come down here. This is a bigger kind of area. I can fill in a little bit. No, and I can even come back with my darker pastel if I've noticed I haven't quite gotten that shape right. I can come back and make some adjustments. Now at this point I'm just working kind of with two tones, right? We have light, we have dark. We can further complicate that a little bit later, but right now, when we're just starting, I want you to kind of think, does this area fall into the camp of lighter color or darker color? Okay, now we're filling in along the back too. Now one thing I'm noticing back here, there's just a little sliver of darker color as the cat's back sort of rounds into that shadow. So I'm going to add that darker color in. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. All right, so the reason I started with this not quite exactly pure black pastel is that now I get to take my charcoal, my compressed charcoal, and find those areas that really are very dark and add in some shadow. Right, and you can see what that's kind of doing. So some of this stuff right up in here, this curve right here, that's pretty dark. And don't worry if there are areas where you can't exactly see everything that's going on. It's a little difficult to make out everything that's going on in here, and that's fine. That's just the way it looks, so don't worry about it. you can still get the point across. So if the photograph gets the point across, I can get the point across. I mean, even on this unfinished drawing, you look at it and you know, well, it's a black cat. It's just a matter of how far do you want to bring that impression. All right, so at this point, I'm probably going to do a little bit less talking and just sit and draw. So you're welcome to watch away to your heart's content. All right, well, I could sit here and work on this for another hour, really, getting the expression right and refining things. But I feel like the point is kind of made that. Oh, here, how about I add some whiskers, and then the point will be made. Okay, whiskers. Okay. All right. That, my friends, is a tutorial of how to draw black animals. The thing to keep in mind is they are just like any other animal. Thank you for watching.